Imperfect Unconditional Love by James MAHU, Mosi.life. Imperfect Unconditional Love. Question. I realize the world is varied beyond comprehension, but there are themes that seem to run across all cultures. And one of those themes, especially right now, seems to be one of unrest and turmoil. What can one person do to calm the situation we're in, to contribute to it in some way that helps steer humanity to a more peaceful and sustaining world that benefits us all? Answer by James. As we can imagine, there's no singular answer to this question. It seems sometimes that everyone has their own answer, or there are herds of thoughts that congeal on one particular ideology. However, you can listen to the voice within you. That voice I refer to as the infinite self or sovereign integral, and you can cultivate a partnership between your finite, temporal self and that part of you that is infinite. And doing that, you can bring more than infinite perspective into this finite world of human life. This is the one act that will benefit all. As the ratio of the infinite self to the finite self expands across all local universes, it is the adage that all boats rise with the tide. The tide in this case is the awareness of the infinite self. When our awareness is focused on our finite self, our body, our feelings and thoughts, we can simultaneously be aware of our infinite self. They are not incompatible fields of perception. What is infinite? What is infinite other than an impossibly abstract concept? There are fundamental continuums in duality that contain subcontinuums like branches of a tree. An example would be the fundamental continuum that defines the duality of love and fear. Love and fear. This continuum contains all emotions, as if the fractal structure was fear that led to love, that led to fear, and then to love, and it cycled endlessly. And all of the other emotions were variations of fear and love. What is fundamental polarity of the continuum of fear and love? Well, at the very furthest poles of the continuum, what exists there. In the polarity of love, there is unconditional love, imbued with the intelligence of one and all. In the fundamental polarity of fear, there is the unfaltering sense of separation. We are alone, separated from our very source, like toddlers who are taken from their parents and left to survive on their own. Between those two poles is a vast network of dualities that emerge from this fundamental continuum. Fear and love become nuanced, watered down, and generally made to be more reasonable in social human terms. New emotions begin to sprout into the human genome and physical structure. Emotions like anxiety, hatefulness, passion, frustration, envy, compassion, desire, manipulation, kindness, and greed. All of these emotions are part of the one fundamental continuum of fear and love that defines space-time duality. We are part of the continuum of fear and love, as well as its many branches. It is a dimension of duality we experience within our local universe, and it comprises these emotional centers. It is the emotional dimension, yet it is a part of each of us. There is also a mental dimension that is fundamental. Continuum of duality is also fear and love. However, our interpretation and expression is with thought and reason. as opposed to feelings. And again, it is part of us in all life. Even plants have emotions and thoughts. They interpret their local universe and have a sense of multiple dimensions, thus they can think. They can also express themselves. All physical earthly life is part of the physical, emotional, mental dimensions. There are no boundaries between the dimensions and the life forms within them. We can reason our way out of fear and its associated emotions. And with our thoughts, we can move them to the side of the continuum that is of love, peace, harmony, ease, and goodwill. This is the mental perspective of our internal invisible thoughts. These thoughts probe the continuum of fear and love, and each time they probe, they spark a learning that deepens our understanding as both a finite and infinite self. It is a choice we each make as to where we probe the continuum of fear and love. However, this choice is constrained by our knowledge and belief. If we have a broad knowledge of behavioral intelligence from a scientific, social, philosophical, and spiritual point of view, we can then make better choices. Lacking these, we are more prone to follow our innate knowledge or an ideology peddled by outside forces.
Your consciousness at your core.
The innate knowledge is something.
The body, mind, heart, ego, and subconscious. Those things you are at your surface. The consciousness part of you is connected to the energy of the field that powers everything. The humanness part of you is connected to the culture of separation. These comprise the fundamental duality out of which all other dualities arise. This fundamental duality is your reality. It is so baked into your reality that you do not even see it. The two creatures that live in one body need to become partners. They need to find a new alignment, a new North Star of interconnectedness. They need to see that the culture of separation has left them diminished in imagining their power as a part of the one, many, and all consciousness. And that this diminishment has left them dependent and judgmental and anxious and struggling. And all the while they had this other creature, consciousness, that could have saved them.
That will save them. Has saved them. This then informs how we bring the infinite into the finite, how we create overlaps in our local universe. What are these overlaps? Overlaps are the point of interface between polarities like fear and love, light and darkness, anger and peacefulness, to name a few. For example, in the case of a day and night, a sunrise or sunset would be the point of overlap. The overlap in the physical realm of the infinite and finite defines the behaviors of imperfect, unconditional love and kindness. Love is imperfect because we are unique, and therefore all is subjective. In such a world, there can be no judgment. If there is no judgment, there is no perfect and imperfect. That oversees the continuum of fear and love. That is the core nature of unconditional love. So in order to practice it, create conscious overlaps into our local universe. We express love and kindness subjectively. And these are acts cannot be judged. It can truly be that simple. The overlap of fear and love isn't perfect unconditional love. Imperfect is the conditional fear caused by separation from our infinite self, and the unconditional love is caused by the sovereign free will accorded to each of us by one and all. Those two forces intermix in a balanced ratio, and when our behavior expresses these ratio, this overlap of the fundamental continuum of fear and love, we bring in partnership the infinite to the finite. And this simple act, backed by our innate knowledge, becomes our individual way, our sovereign path to to lift the tide a little higher, to ensure that no ship of life is grounded, ensnared in the material dimensions, caught off from the oceans of their infinite self. Thus, it is a sovereign path that leads to the behaviors of imperfect, unconditional love, which acts as an interpretive and expressionary forces of our life. This is the embodied sovereign integral consciousness. Unlike many believe, this consciousness is not a personality like we think of when we imagine a human being. It is not a human being. It is an infinite being. It is a being that is simultaneously sovereign and integral, etc. Goes on. It's beautiful.